We have now Senator Cantwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you and the ranking member for holding this hearing. I want to follow on my colleague from Nevada because I too believe that we need to, as Western states, as we look at new supply coming from many different directions, whether it's renewables like wind and solar or small modular reactors or just what might be coming with geothermal or other types of energy we need to plan. What do you think the best way for us to plan across the various RTOs? What would you suggest that we undertake here as a discussion point? I do want to follow up on just smart grid technology in general, because I also think as a part of the country that has very cheap electricity and see it continuing to build over and over again, there are efficiencies in the system that I think the continued implementation of both transmission capacity, like we just saw with BPA's decision to build, and the technological implementations of things like middle mile, where utilities and telcos are working together, are good things. But what do we need to do to plan across RTOs? What is it that you think needs to happen?
Yes, I can take a crack at that first. I think integrating the planning processes a bit more is going to be really valuable and helpful. Today there's a commitment to coordinate, but the planning processes in regions are by and large very separate. And so I think if you truly integrate those processes in each regions to account for interregional planning, that will go a long way insofar as moving needed interregional transmission along.
And who do you think takes the lead on that?
I think the RTO, ISOs, or the grid planning authorities should do that.
I'm sorry, you're saying INTER or INTRA?
Yeah, interregional, yes.
Okay.
So the planning authorities, whether it's if you're in an area where there's an RTO or a balancing authority.
But if we're looking at this now as this really big and important opportunity for the United States of America to lead on grid technology, I just think of it almost as an operating system coming from a software state too, that you realize the operating system can deliver you efficiencies. The grid is at this capacity where it can move power around, and we want it to. Recently, with these big heat waves, you could move electricity around, but you need to have that kind of grid built, which means it needs to be built across an entire system. So where do you think that discussion lies? Do you think we need somebody to lead that at the federal level?
Yes, we agree, and I think that would be led at FERC.
Okay. Mr. Stanek?
Senator, you raise a good point, because in this country, we don't have a national transmission planner. DOE doesn't plan transmission. FERC doesn't plan transmission. They do have some oversight authority. So we leave it to the grid operators to work together between regions, interregional communications. And they've done that. But at the same time, they're running their own grids on a daily basis, and they have a lot to do. Order 1000, which was FERC's attempt to promote competition between regions, has not worked. It's effectively been a failure over the past 12 years. There were some interregional requirements in that order, but they have not come to fruition. So there is some reform that's necessary there. I believe the current FERC commission is looking at that right now, and hopefully they'll promulgate some new rules. But it is of critical importance that the regions work more closely together to transfer resources, to transfer technologies, to ensure reliability as well.
Well, let me be clear. I'm not a huge fan of RTOs in the context of yes, we're going to sell more expensive power onto the grid, and whoever is the highest bidder gets to sell their power. I'm not for that, because what we want to do is drive down electricity costs. That's what we really want to do. And again, as a state that's benefited from a great history there. But it seems to me your notion of a national transmission planner, if that's, that isn't just at FERC, or maybe it is at FERC, but we need to have both the scope of what that gets us as we think about transmission capacity and also the oversight at FERC. So it seems to me that we're still missing somebody in addition there, whether you think that that's at a White House executive level or over at DOE. But I don't know if you have a comment on that.
There is one proposal out there coming from FERC determining whether or not we need something called an ITC, an Independent Transmission Coordinator. That is currently under discussion. There's not a lot of details at this point, but there are supporters of the concept saying, well, we do need one independent body aside from FERC to look at transmission to ensure that the regions are actually working together to build out transmission in a thoughtful,
Well,
efficient.
I will just take a nod on this. I would assume everybody agrees that this is a huge opportunity and we need to have more planning and more coordination.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.